For me, speaking about my cancer journey, speaking with you here today, going out into the community that I live in Hong Kong and speaking about getting checkups, about mental health awareness post-cancer, this is all part for me of a healing process of things that I didn't deal with many years ago.
Hello and welcome to A Moment in Health, a new series from Bupa Global where we discover the health milestones that have sparked life-changing stories. I'm Karan Rajan, doctor, health educator, and author. Experiencing a major change in your health can be one of life's biggest challenges. It can affect how you see yourself, how you move through the world, and what matters most. But it can also open the door to reflection, growth, and even new beginnings. Today's guest is a perfect example of that. Someone who's faced significant challenges and found resilience in recovery and empowered others to live stronger, healthier lives. I'm delighted to welcome Han-Mi Walsh-Riddle, a strength and mobility coach based in Hong Kong, a breast cancer survivor. Han-Mi has turned her own experience of illness and recovery into a mission to help others rebuild strength, both physically and mentally, after facing adversity. Her story is one of healing, rebuilding, and using movement as a tool for mental strength and purpose. Han-Mi, thank you so much for joining me today. I know you've taken a very long flight to get here. Where do I start? You do so many things, from health advocacy, you're a personal trainer, you play rugby, you're on social media advocating to other patients, and you're really championing this space around health empowerment as well. We've got a lot to unpack and uncover, but I really want to wind back to the start, before your strength and mobility coaching, before personal training, before that cancer diagnosis. What did your life look like back then?
Thank you so much, first of all, for having me. My life pre-cancer was pretty wild. I was young, living in New York City. I was a bartender. I was a preschool teacher, working many jobs, having a beautiful, crazy life. And then my life after cancer is very, very different.
So given where you were living in New York City, in a busy metropolis, which is on 24/7, it sounds like you were on 24/7 as well, because you were, I assume, doing some night shifts with your bartending work, early mornings with the, kids. So how were you even thinking about, if you had at all, any physical or mental health routine to look after yourself?
I wasn't thinking about it at all. I honestly, I was just young. And like most people, you think illness is never going to happen to you. And you think you have all the time in the world. You feel very invincible and you want to have as much fun as possible, experience as much as possible. You don't think about sleep. You don't think about recovery. You don't think about nutrition. You really just, you live presently.
And at that time when you were doing all these things, did you ever feel that you were burning out or really stressing your body physically and mentally, or did it not even occur to you?
I absolutely knew it was terrible that I never slept. I really never slept. I ate very poorly, had a lot of stress. Living in New York City, like a lot of people that live in big cities, is you're ambitious. You want more, and there's a finite amount of time. And so you try to cram in a lot. Because everyone's hustling, right? And the person next to you could be doing more than you, and it's just that grind. I still kind of have that grind, but it's not for the nightlife and that type of hustle. It's more for wellness and fitness and education.
I think it was really powerful what you said, that, sometimes we just think we're invincible. And I think that can be applied to a lot of people, where we don't realize the flaws or the issues until they cause a huge change in our life. And that's where I really wanted to talk about a huge change in your life. Can you talk to me a little bit about the first signs of when you noticed something may be amiss and something may be wrong, which then prompted you to go and get checked out?
So when I was living in New York City, I did feel a lump. But, again, you're young. I was very young at the time. I think I was 34. And I went to the doctors and they were like, you're quite young. This is probably just some tissue. Didn't get a mammogram. And fast forward 2 years later, it did turn out to be breast cancer.
When you first felt that lump, what was going through your mind? Did you worry immediately, or did you just want to get it checked out of safety?
Worried immediately. I don't know why, just didn't feel right to me. And so going to the doctor and them saying, oh, this is completely fine, I just pushed it out of my mind. But in hindsight, I should have trusted my initial thinking that something was off with my body. Like, that's why I advocate that you just do self-checks so you know if there's any kind of drastic changes in your body.
Yeah, I think that's really powerful, just to also trust your gut instinct. And it's not offensive to seek a second opinion or to advocate for yourself, because as we know, a normal test doesn't mean everything is fine. And an abnormal test also doesn't mean everything is wrong.
Absolutely. I definitely advocate just at least having an annual checkup if you can afford it, but also just doing self-checks, which costs nothing, just so you can see if there's anything that's strange that has changed or changes quickly, and then can go seek a professional's opinion.
You first noticed the lump in New York. You were reassured then, but then you received your diagnosis in Singapore.
Yes.
And then you live in Hong Kong now. So just take me through some of that timeline.
So yes, I'm an American expat currently living in Hong Kong, but was diagnosed in Singapore, where I lived for a couple of years. Being an expat, I really didn't know anybody. I didn't even, I think I asked a girl that I was in Pilates class, hey, can you go to the doctor with me? I think something might be a little bit off. And being there, just was not expecting within, I'd say, less than 24 hours or 48 hours being told, I'm young and healthy, 36 years old, to you have cancer. So, and being an expat, I didn't have, family or friends or support group to really navigate any of that. So it's been challenging. It's challenging for everyone, but I think, being abroad, not having a network was even tougher.
So I think another underrated challenge, it's another layer of complexity to all this, is not only do you have to deal with the complexities of a cancer diagnosis and the emotional, baggage that goes along with that, but actually you're navigating 3 different healthcare systems, the US one, the Singaporean one, and then in Hong Kong as well.
Yeah, I might be a medical expert now. I'm just kidding. I did a lot of research on my own about breast cancer, different types of treatment, what could cause more side effects. So whatever that case is, case by case, but just becoming your own advocate.
Yeah, I think you said it jokingly that you're a medical expert, but you're an expert of your own body. So no matter how experienced a breast surgeon is or how many PhDs someone has from a medical standpoint, no one is more of an expert in your own body than you.
Absolutely. Education is knowledge and power to me.
So once you had that diagnosis of the aggressive breast cancer, how was the recovery immediately after treatment, both physically and mentally as well, in that immediate aftermath?
I think for me, I did a very good job, given the circumstance, to go into survival mode. I'm very good with that, being like, okay, you need to get to A to B. And for me, I did well managing that physically, emotionally. I think for me, the aftermath came many years later, and it showed up as depression and anxiety, which later led to an ADHD diagnosis because it wasn't actually full depression and anxiety. So for me, the stress of it came much, much later.
I think a lot of people don't realize the downstream consequences of cancer, not just for yourself and later in life, but the collateral damage it can have to people around us, our family. And, at the time, motherhood was potentially affected for you as well. You had a child. So how did that impact motherhood for you and your relationship with your child and how they handled it and just the people in your family and life around you at the time?
I think at the time, for me, I internalized everything and I didn't really cope. Some people maybe have better skills, but growing up, I was not really taught to communicate and express and given tools to, process things. Even now, I still have a hard time processing things, but I'm, actively trying to learn better skills to become a better parent and also deal with emotions, hopefully, instead of internalizing them, in a healthy way for my son.
I think people don't appreciate the mental burden of cancer, not just when someone gets the cancer diagnosis, but actually for the rest of their life. Because whilst the person may be in remission, there's always that back of the mind worry about relapse. How do you prioritize your mental health and well-being now, given you've gone through all this and you're now several years after that, but still, there's a remnant of that which will remain with you.
It's absolutely true. I definitely do often think every year's the checkup that it can come back. It really can. And so instead of trying to worry about it, which you can't help, for me, I try to think or ask myself, if I had X amount of time left and I were to get sick again, what am I going to do with my time? And this changes things for me. And this is why if you look at my life, I'm always pursuing something or seeking some knowledge or putting myself into uncomfortable situations and trying to learn and grow, because I want to feel that if cancer were to come back, I did the most with the time I had. Right? It sounds cliche, but that's really how I try to live my life.
Moving on from mental health to physical health, and we have lots of data suggesting that good physical health, exercise, cardio, resistance training can all help to reduce the risk of recurrence and relapse, especially in cancer survivors as well. What is your approach to your physical health as well? Because clearly you're very active on all fronts.
So for me, physical health is a non-negotiable. It is just a part of who I am. It really helps me manage my stress. It helps me feel more confident, feel stronger. With my ADHD, it helps me to kind of ground me. And it also teaches my son that this is just a lifestyle that I want to lead, right? Just lead by example. So physical fitness, any type of movement. It does not have to be hitting the gym. It could be going for a walk, going for a run. It could be yoga. Just some sort of movement daily is what I strive for.
Yeah, I mean, I've only met you this morning, but I can already tell that you're so effervescent and you're powerful. And even you were talking to me this morning that you woke up at 6 a.m., you did some meditation yoga, and you were asking me for gym recommendations because you wanted to do some resistance training later in the day. So it seems like night and day compared to what your life was like over 10 years ago back in New York to now, where you're playing rugby with 20-year-olds, probably giving them a run for their money. You're, doing kettlebell championships, doing marathon, social media advocacy. How did your life take you here? Like, what steps did you do to get yourself here from the trenches of cancer diagnosis and recovery?
Wow. When you say it like that, it sounds like I did so much, but I have done a lot. And I really think the journey for me started, I'm a single parent now. I finally got to ask myself, what do you want? What will make you happy? And I didn't know. And so I started trying so many different things, meeting so many different people, finding a part of myself that I didn't even know existed. And through this advocacy with talking about breast cancer, I had no intention of really going out and speaking about this as much as I am sitting here with you today. I really just, everywhere I went, was like, you need to get a checkup. You need awareness. Are you mentally okay? Like, it's a domino effect of seeking one thing, and then so many other things happen.
Now that you've got all this information now and all the powerful health advocacy you do, and taking other people who may be going on similar journeys and guiding them as well, thinking back on your own journey now, what lessons do you feel that you've learned from that time?
The biggest lesson I think that I personally have learned is to put myself first, to put my well-being first, mentally and physically. And then I can be a better mom, be a better coach, be a better friend. And if I don't put myself first, I'm not being any benefit to anyone else. Speaking about my cancer journey, speaking with you here today, going out into the community that I live in Hong Kong and speaking about, getting checkups, about mental health awareness post, cancer. This is all part for me of a healing process of things that I didn't deal with many years ago.
Yeah, I think everything that you've shared with me today, I can tell it's raw, full of emotion, and palpably I can feel some of that emotional energy as well from you. I think we've spoken about some of the most difficult parts of your life, if not the most difficult part of your life, from, the cancer diagnosis to recovery and how things are going now. So I just want to, from the bottom of my heart, really thank you for sharing some of that really vulnerable stuff with me and, being with me today.
Thank you so much for having me and for truly listening to everything I'm saying. I feel very seen and happy to be here. So thank you.